Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Just Make It Pretty podcast. Today, I am excited to talk about the secret shop, the OSC Secret Shop that Share Drive recently completed. And I have brought on a guest to talk about if you guys are interested in finding out what the follow-up is like with builders right now, how OSCs are performing, and what we found as a part of this study of talking with over 200 builders, then you are going to want to listen to this episode. Welcome to the Just Make It Pretty podcast, the marketing and mindset show for home builders and beyond. I'm your host, Sarah Haynes, and around here we go beyond pretty pictures and we get honest about what's working, what's not, and what it really takes to build better brands, better experiences, and better teams. You'll find creative ideas, practical strategies, and conversations that actually matter. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's get started. So my special guest today is Sarah Ocampo. She is one of our OSCs here at Share Drive, and I'm just so excited to have you here, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to talk about the results and everything I found.
I could not believe when I heard that you were doing this and you were working closely with Sherry to finish this report. I was like, that is so much work. And you guys just knocked it out. And the insights were so interesting. I was just like, I have to have you on to talk about it because I feel like there's so much more than you can just put in a case study.
Yeah, for sure. It was very interesting. All the results that I found, it was an eye opener for the OSC positions. So it was really good.
Yeah. Okay, before we dive in totally, I'd love to get a little bit more about you for our listeners who maybe have not met you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the industry? How did you get to your role here at Share Drive? And anything else you want to share?
Yeah, for sure. So I got into the industry I had just recently moved back home from a long relationship that did not work out. I'm looking for a job on LinkedIn. I saw a builder hiring. I had no idea what I was going to get into. They actually hired me for a receptionist. So this was in 2016, 15. So almost 10 years ago already. So I started with them as a receptionist. I was with that builder for 8 years. I helped them with a lot of things. I did receptionist, accounting, HR. I went into the on-site and sales, so in the model home, selling homes too. And then I found out I was gonna have a baby. They offered me the OSC position. It was more of a at-home hybrid type of position that was gonna help me and my new child coming along. So I got into OSC and I really fell in love with it. Last year, some changes happened, and then I saw that you guys were hiring. I sent in my resume and got a call from Sherry and was able to come on board with you guys. So I'm super happy for the opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you for that. It has been wonderful working with you here at Share Drive. And I think one of the things being an OSC, there's so much attention to detail that's needed. And that's what I think really impressed me with this whole secret shop was just the attention to detail. So there's so much that we can get into. And I really appreciate all that work that you put in.
Yes, thank you.
So before we get into everything, I do just want to say for all of our listeners today, this whole conversation is not about calling people out. And I think that it can be easy to go that direction when you're talking about where builders are thriving, where they may have gaps. But this is not about saying, oh, OSCs need to do more or anything like that. It's about designing environments where your people can succeed. And not to rank performance, but to look at patterns that can start showing up when you do look at so many different builders across the country. We are going into this. I think that all these OSCs that work for these builders are great. They're doing their job. And we really just want to look at what kind of structure have we set them up with to allow them to do their job. And maybe if there's some adjustments or different things that we can be doing to make their job easier and to increase the follow-up and to improve the follow-up that our buyers are getting. So just my little disclaimer before we get started. But Sarah, so tell me, when you got this project, you're like, okay, I'm going to start doing this. First of all, what was your first impression of what this is going to be like? And did you feel like that expectation was what actually happened?
So I felt like I was going to get some pretty good results. They're all good results, right? Because we're going to learn from the results that I did receive. But I did expect a little bit more of OSCs. It just opened my eyes and was like, you know what? The OSC position is so underrated. I feel as I got in those results, they are missing there's a gap missing there, whether that be training, whether that be just a position that they don't are not very interested in it. But it was shocking to see everything that did come into play with it.
Yeah. Now, did you expect anything specific on like how quickly OSCs would respond or how consistent they would be? Like, what were your kind of assumptions going into it that you could expect?
My expectation was getting responses right away. As soon as I hit the submit button, I was waiting like 5-10 minutes for someone to reach out to me. And that didn't happen most cases. Like most cases either did not answer me, did not reach out to me, did not call me, did not text me, did not even email me. So emailing me. So that was really like that was mind blowing to me because I was like, oh my gosh, that's the first thing you think that an OSC would do. As soon as you get that inquiry, that notification, hey, someone wants to know about this, wants to learn about this floor plan or this house, you want to call them as an OSC, you want to call them right away because that peak time, that 3 to 5 minutes is like a game changer for them as a buyer.
Yeah, for sure. We've heard over and over throughout our industry the 5 minutes. So you have to respond within the
Mhm.
first 5 minutes. And that's hard for OSCs. That's very fast,
Mhm.
especially when you're trying to give like a personalized response or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not an easy task to take on, but it's been talked about so much. It's the gold standard of if you don't
Mhm.
get that call or that email within the first 5 minutes, there's a problem there. So when you were doing that, you'd fill out the form or however you would reach out, and then you wouldn't get that response, or maybe you would in some cases. How did it feel to be like the buyer in that situation?
For the response for them to respond to me right away, it felt amazing. It felt like I was the only one that they were going to be talking to. Like I felt important as the buyer because that's how every buyer wants to feel, is very important. Their first contact, like you're literally talking to them. And then for the ones that did not call or took maybe more than 24 hours to respond, it was like, oh, never mind. I'm not going to use this buyer. This builder didn't reach out to me. They didn't call me right away. I already talked to 3 other builders when they
Mhm.
just, so they're not at the priority of my list anymore. They went down to the bottom because I have other builders that reached out to me and I've already talked to and made a game plan to go research more about them.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see I'm in my own buying process right now. And I think there's different types of buyers, right? Like some want
Hmm.
information without someone reaching out and they don't want to talk to anybody. And then other people, they feel very neglected when they fill out a form or they
Yeah.
submit an inquiry and there's crickets. So
Yeah. It's what do you have your form for?
yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah, I think it's really interesting what actually the data shows after this secret shop. And for all of you guys listening, we do have a case study that we put together and it has all of the numbers and we're going to be referencing that kind of throughout this conversation. So if you're listening, you want to see that full story and you want to see the infographics as well, head over to the description box, the show notes. I will put the link directly in there so you can look at that. So I know whenever somebody's saying a lot of numbers, like I want to see a picture. So if you want to do that, go over there. But so let's dive into those numbers a little bit. So tell me kind of high level what you saw after you submitted that first inquiry. What kind of outreach did you get?
I would say phone calls was about 60 phone calls that first outreach. And you probably had like about 40 people that did not reach out at all, which is very shocking. It just shows that there's structure missing or there's something missing between them receiving the form and it going into the CRM, whether it did or did not. And then other responses as well. I did receive a handful of emails and a few text messages. So those were the 3 main communications that I was looking for.
Perfect. So that's out of the 200, 60 called first,
Mhm.
and 40 didn't reach out to you at all, and the rest was a smattering of different things, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. And so what would you say that the initial speed of that initial response? What did you see on that front?
Yeah, so about 22% responded within the first 5 minutes, about 5% within the 6 to 10 minutes, and 84% took longer than 10 minutes, which is also another shocker and eye opener.
Now, when you say longer than 10 minutes, okay, so you've got like a few of those that are going to be like 11 minutes, right? And then what was
Mhm.
the top of that scale?
Oh, the top of the scale was probably no response at all. Nobody called out. And then I've seen some that were like 3 days up to 7 days delay time for them to respond as well.
Mhm. So
Mhm.
84% like was not even within that first 10 minutes. That's a
Mhm.
lot. And I feel like there can be a lot of things that can contribute to that. We're definitely going to talk about that as well. But I wanted to dive in a little bit more to those channels that you talked about. Reaching out in the first 5 minutes, I know like it's difficult. Sometimes like you're
Mhm.
very busy as an OSC, it's hard. What kind of those channels that they did reach out on, what was the most popular and what did you feel was the most successful?
I would say email was the most popular. I would say the phone calls were more successful because you're getting that one-to-one conversation and actually getting the buyer on the phone and finding out exactly what they're looking for when they're looking for a home. Emails is a good acknowledgement. Hey, I got your response. I will follow up with you. Is a lot of them that would say, give our OSC, thank you for filling out our form. We received your inquiry. We will follow up with you within the first 24 hours or something along those lines. That was also good to see because it did give us the indication, okay, they did get my form. They'll be reaching out. Sometimes they did reach out, sometimes they didn't. So
Mhm.
again, structure and following up with what you are giving out needs to be done.
Yeah. There's a kind of a debate right now about
Mhm.
whether or not like automated responses are good or bad, or if we should be doing them, we shouldn't
Mhm.
be doing them. I know AI helps a lot with getting that instant response for people. So when you got those emails that were like, hey, we got your response, we'll reach out soon. How did you rank that in terms of success? Was most successful or that was like adequate, or did you mark them off because you're like that wasn't really a whole person?
I marked them off because it's not a whole person. I counted it if they actually did reach out. I did note, okay, we did receive this notification. Good,
Mhm.
they acknowledged it, but did someone actually reach out and did I make contact with someone? So that's how I went along with it. Yes, it's good because we know the CRM is doing its job. If you got that notification, then your CRM is doing good. Now it's the OSC's responsibility to make the initial follow up after they receive that. Thank you for inquiring, or thank you for your submission form.
I think honestly, it's in my mind, it's a hybrid of the two that's really
Mm-hmm.
needed because I know there's been so many times. So I'll be on a website and I'll put it in a form submission. I'm like, I have no idea if that worked. Like the form disappears and you're like, cool, where did that go? So getting the
Yeah.
response back, you're like, all right, at least they got it and at least my form worked. So it does give me a little bit, brings down that anxiety a little bit for me personally, but
Mhm.
they're not usually personalized. I do know that there are some really great automations that are out there that can simulate some personalization in those emails and make them feel less, hey, this is an automated email, which I think that's also great. But I think
Yeah.
that response is so important, especially when it's just a form field that you're like filling out. Like you just
Yeah.
have no idea. Like those fields just disappear and you're like just sitting there and you're like, all right, now what? So one of the other things I was interested, I've seen this a lot, like it just in the world, is you can't really go anywhere and do anything without upon completion, you get a text message. So were text messages used and what like was the data behind texting?
So text messages, they were used, but they weren't used. That was another surprising to me, something that I didn't expect. They weren't used as much as an email or a phone call. I felt like maybe they didn't have the programs that do the automated text or an actual text like Carrel. We use Carrel often. So now I can't think of the word. But anyways, they were used, but not as much. I personally feel like text message is a lot easier because a lot of times when they do submit that form, they do want information, but they can't talk right away, or they just want to answer one or two questions. They don't want to go get into a whole conversation of why they're moving or and what they're looking for. They just want to know, hey, is this home available or no? Or hey, can you do this? No, or yes. So I felt like text messages, I don't know, for some reason they weren't used as I thought that they were going to be used.
That was surprising to
Mhm.
me too, because we know from like website analytics that like most people are viewing our websites from a mobile device. So they're already on
Yeah.
their phone. So a text message seems a really quick, fast, they're going to see it right away. rather than going straight to email. But I wonder if it's just not, the structure's not there for that. People don't have the applications, like what the reason
Mhm.
is behind that, because it is a no-brainer in my mind.
Yeah, I think I feel the same. Maybe some of those builders don't know what programs there is out there to use for calling and texting. I can speak for the previous builder that I know. We use a regular phone, a cell phone, and I did my text messages as an OSC. I did all my calls and my text messages manually through the phone. I didn't use a call rail app. So coming to Share Drive and getting to know all these different programs that do work and that we do know how to use is a game changer. So I feel like maybe that's one of the issues. They don't have those programs or they don't know about those different programs that are out there to be used.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many applications.
Mm.
There's so many things that you can set up. And a lot of people also don't realize how much of that can be automated through their CRM. And
Mm.
like getting everything linked up is quite a feat sometimes. So I definitely feel like that infrastructure, that not being set up really does not set up your OSC for success. Like when that is
Yeah.
unclear, like consistency and like having that process, it becomes impossible if you don't have the right
Mhm.
tools in place to do it. Lots of thoughts there. But before we get there, I wanted to ask one more thing about follow-up consistency and how long follow-up went. Now, how long did you run this shop for?
I ran it for 60 days for each builder because it did take me about 4 weeks to complete all 200 builders. So I did it for at least 60 days. I ran it.
Okay.
Mhm.
And what did you see in terms of like repeat follow-up? Because you were not emailing back to any of these builders. This was a
No,
non-response
no.
process. What did you see in terms of consistent follow-up once you did receive that first one?
That's a really good question. Consistency, I would say most of the time it wasn't very consistent. They stopped maybe by the third follow up, maybe even less. They probably only reached out once or twice, but those numbers dropped drastically by that third time that they called me or text me or emailed me. So that was shocking too, because you have to, especially the first 30 days are very critical for follow up. So you want to reach out a couple times a month. As you get into the 60 days, yes, you can spread that follow up across, but the first 30 days are very critical for that follow up.
And 3 follow-ups, you think about it, like, okay, you
Mhm.
call initially, right? And they don't pick up. So then now you've got 2 more in 30
Mhm.
days. And so that's not even a lot of times to reach
No,
out. That's
yeah.
not, I've I know there are a lot of salespeople that I've worked with, and they're like, call them every day. And we're not saying that either, but only reaching out 3 times over 60 days is not very many.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into kind of what opportunities does this present for us? What does this tell us about the infrastructure that OSCs have, the training? And then also, I wanted to get into the marketing as well, because I feel like marketing and the OSC, if there's a disconnect there, that can also break down some of these follow-ups and stuff. So let's talk about the marketing side first.
Mhm.
So as you were filling out these forms, I assume you're probably getting like marketing follow-up as well outside of the OSC. What was your experience with that?
For marketing follow-up, I can say some builders did blow up my inbox. Some builders will send 3 to 4 emails a week. And I was like, whoa, but was their OSC doing it? No, the OSC wasn't doing it. I did not get any follow-ups from the OSC. So it was, how can I say it? It was like very, yes, marketing's doing this job, but is it reporting to the OSC? So it was different. Some marketing emails I did get, they were consistent 1 to 2 a week, which is pretty normal, which is good too. So I think a lot of marketings were doing good, but there was some that wasn't at all. Sometimes I didn't get no marketing from some of those builders as well. So I was shocked at that too. Something is a disconnect there.
Yeah. Now, when you do get
Mhm.
those marketing emails, it's great. You want to pat on the back all the marketers out there that are like, we got our emails done. But did it really align with your inquiry?
No, because a lot of them are going to be a new community coming, or there was a new phase for a community that I didn't even inquire about, or their incentives. Incentive emails are always good. So I would say yes, they do go in line with each buyer. But if there were incentives community specific, then no, I'm like, why did I get this email if I wasn't even looking at this community? It's a give and take on those marketing emails.
I mean, I always hate when I like put in a inquiry and then I get a bunch of emails about things that I didn't want.
Mhm.
It's so frustrating. And it's hard because you really have to segment, you really have to use your property fields and really
Mhm.
set up those automations so that doesn't happen. And it's a bigger lift than just, oh, we're going to send out automated emails. So yeah, now how about like, I know we had talked before this and you had talked about how many emails you were getting per day. So tell me a little bit about that. Were you receiving multiple emails from single builders? And did that process, whether you were or you weren't, affect your trust at all in that builder?
Yes, I feel like the ones that did send me like 4 or 5 emails a week, like it was literally every other day. I was like, oh my gosh, like, no, you're just trying to get your information out there. No, thank you. This is too much of a sales thing. No, they're not trying to get to know me on a personal level as a buyer to find out exactly what I'm looking for. These are just campaign emails that they're sending out, which it does spam up your inbox.
Yeah. Yeah, you were telling me one of the builders sent you like 6 emails in one day or something. I was like, oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Yeah. I was like, is this accurate? I don't think this is. You're the marketing expert, but this is what I got. And yes, that was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. That to me means that they've got a lot of automation set up. They have a lot of work done in the back end, but it's not being strategically used because a lot of those emails were like doubling up on like different communities that you didn't even ask for and things like
Yeah.
that. So you're getting a lot and you're having like a lot of interaction with the builder, but it wasn't like aligned with where you were at. And yeah, I feel like the disconnect there between the marketing team and the OSC, I really wonder, does the OSC know that they just got 6 emails from marketing and then also you're gonna send them a text and a call that day? Does the
Yes.
OSC know?
Like I'm being bombarded.
Yes, exactly. I view that as a disconnect between OSC and marketing. But did you see any other kind of misalignments or friction where you feel like marketing could be working better with their OSC?
Yeah, of course. How can I get on those emails? Are they communicating this to the OSC? Does OSC know the background of the CRM? So the OSC can let marketing know, hey, I need to send this email out, or this campaign out, but I only need to send it to this community list of buyers, or I just need to send this to realtors. So it's working hand in hand, like together is very important, especially when all those campaigns are coming out. They have to target the right audience when sending those out.
I feel like the communication between an OSC and marketing is just so important. Obviously,
Mhm.
communication with OSC and the sales team is also extremely important, but I feel like that side of things like does happen a little bit more because you're setting appointments for the salespeople.
Mhm.
But I've worked with so many builders where like marketing never even talks to the OSC, or if they do, they never ask any questions. And I
Yeah.
think that's such a huge opportunity. I had OSC on recently. We're doing like an OSC like theme on the podcast right now, but I had Felicia Berry come on and she talked about that, how like she uses OSC insights to help her marketing team and to help build email campaigns and blogs and social posts all around like questions and things that she hears as an OSC, which is just so smart. And I think
Yeah.
that's what's missing in some of these situations like that you're describing is that level of communication and cooperation.
Yeah, even talking about the type of leads that we get as an OSC. Are these meta leads working? Are they not? We have to communicate that to the marketing so you guys can change up the strategy on those. Are these Google leads working? No. Are these other leads where you guys purchase these leads from? Are they working? And so that's our job to let you guys know that whatever campaigns are getting ran, then we can see those numbers behind it, whether to see if those leads are either quality leads or just quantity.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's so important, especially when you're running any kind of paid media. Like you need to know
Mhm.
what's actually coming in because those spreadsheets, like you can look real great. Oh, yeah, we got all this interest at all these leads. It's like, yeah, but they were all garbage. It's like you just threw away all that
Yes.
money. And yeah, so have to have that communication, absolutely essential. So let's talk about the OSC now. And let's talk about where do you, or what do you feel like the reasoning for some of these gaps is? What is your gut telling you when you see no outreach or slow outreach or the consistency is not there?
I feel like my gut's definitely telling me they don't have the support that the OSC needs. They're lacking that. They're lacking the training maybe. Like they don't I feel like yes, an OSC position is, I guess, new. Like they're starting to be more out there. There's some builders that don't want to use an OSC because they're like, oh, all they're doing is answering the call and booking appointments. No, that's not all we do. We nurture your leads. We make sure we follow up with them when they're up until they're ready to schedule that appointment, to view that home. We take feedback. If like recently I just had the builder that I am OC for now, they use UTour, those self-guided tours. Those are really good too, because I take care of those leads too. I reach out to them, hey, how did your tour go? Is this sales rep doing that? And if they are, they consistently following up until they get a response? So actually a response that I did over the weekend, a lead from the self-guided tour, he responded to me. He's like, hey, yeah, can you call me this afternoon? I called them. I'm like, oh, okay, good. This is a good lead. It's not just that you're answering, you're talking to them. He actually told me, I love the house. I love the plan. It was great. The only thing is it's a little bit further than what we wanted it. And we have to be closer to our in-laws because they're elderly and we have to help them. This was our top pick, but we actually have to be closer. That was the deal breaker. So unfortunately, they didn't contract with the builder, but hey, I got feedback from that UTour. So it was going back into making sure getting responses if they don't want to move forward. Yes, I didn't schedule the appointment or they didn't contract, but at least we know why. So it's just going through and making sure your systems are all set up correctly. Do you have a call route? Do you have your CRM? Or is everything connected and integrated correctly with your CRM? So it's a lot of things that before I started working for Sure Drive, like I didn't know. And now that I know, I'm like, oh, okay, this all makes sense. And the OSC is very important. They're the first call, they're the first front of the face for the builder and giving them all the information that they need before they make the step into the sales office or the model home or speaking to the sales rep. So you're making that contact and that initial contact with them for the
Yeah.
builder.
Yeah. So I feel like
Mhm.
the I've talked to a lot of OSCs, right? Like I know a
Mhm.
lot of OSCs with many different builders, and a lot of them are doing so many multiple jobs. Like they're not just even an OSC. So like
Yes.
everything that you just said, they're doing, but they're
Mhm.
also covering. Like I know an OSC that will cover for the on-site salespeople sometimes. She'll be in
Mhm.
the model home. Or they'll be managing marketing tasks like writing blogs or
Mhm.
even managing social media or doing admin work. There's a lot of additional things that's put on the OSC because they are such a great support person for multiple departments. And when I see it's, oh, the response came in, but it was slow, my initial thing is like they sound overwhelmed. Like they were
Yeah.
doing a bunch of other things that maybe takes them away from that. So I think that's another thing that builders can really think about is your OSC stretched thin? And how can you make sure that they are able to focus on these things? And a lot of OSCs have KPIs based around these things. Can they actually meet those KPIs with the structure that you have in place and the other tasks that your OSC is doing? So yeah, I'm betting that a lot of those OSCs were like doing things outside of what the traditional OSC role is as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with you because there was some emails that I received that their signature would say online sales and marketing coordinator. So I was like, okay, they're doing more than one job. So that's why they didn't get back to quick enough to me. So I totally agree with you on that. Even before I started with Share Drive, I was that person, as you said. I was that OSC plus marketing. I was helping marketing. I was doing covering on site as well, helping since I was there such a long time. I had other people pulling me left and right, asking me about purchasing or asking me about accounting, asking me some different things. I wasn't just an OSC. And here with Share Drive, I love it because I'm just an OSC. I can focus on the leads for my builders. I can focus on calling age leads for my builder. Recently, my builder we just started with them. So I was reaching out to all their age leads from last year. They weren't touched. Well, one from October, actually, I reached out to her. I called her, I emailed her. She was opening my emails. Come to find out, she's actually purchasing a home with us now because she's been opening my emails, and she got in touch with her listing agent, made the showing, and she emailed me questions, and she's actually going under contract. So it does work. Age leads do work. We do have to dig into those age leads. So it's not just a part-time job as an OSC. It does take a full-time OSC to get results.
Yeah. Yeah. And that to age leads takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of
Yes.
time, but the proof is in the data, right? Like we've
Mhm.
converted old leads from like years back that go ahead and
Yeah.
buy. It's definitely something that I feel for builders in that if they don't feel like they have enough leads to support an OSC, like they don't want this person just sitting there. So they're like, we can have you help in these
Mhm.
other ways. It's tough, especially for small builders that are just bringing on an OSC because they don't have that lead volume. It's difficult. So I think that's where obviously, what we do here at Share
Mhm.
Drive really helps with that. But even if your OSC is in-house and doing multiple roles, that's okay. You just have to keep in mind that one, that can't go on forever if you get more leads.
Yeah.
And two, how is that going to affect the OSC, like how they're performing as an OSC? Is there going to be a slower lead response time? Or maybe you need to like help them prioritize. Response
Mhm.
time is the most important. Stay on top of that, quit with the blog while you get a new lead. Like just building out your
Yeah.
expectations for them because it's just there's just so much going on in home building that we really just have to like help our team perform the way that we want them to.
Yes.
So, in your opinion, if you were any of these OSCs or if you were speaking directly to those builders, what would you tell them? What kind of support would you tell them the OSC needs, or like what feedback would you think that they need to hear?
I would say have your OSC take our boot camp, the Share Drive boot camp, so they can get structure and see how the real process is working. And make sure that they focus and reach out to those age leads. Make sure all the integrations are in place, their follow-ups are in place, their emails, their sequences, because those sequences really do help. Follow-up processes really do help. They do help manage your day-to-day, when to follow up with your leads, keep you on track to make sure that you're following the first touch, the 3-day touch, your 7-day touch, 14, 21, 28, whatever the follow-up process that builder prefers to use. Those sequences really do help keep everybody in line. And note taking in their CRM is very important, not only just for the OSC, but anybody else who goes into the OSC management, this on-site sales people, they see those notes that they have been communicating with the lead for so long.
Mhm. Yeah, the CRM
Mhm.
being set up properly, I think is just so key. Your
Mhm.
OSC is going to be at such a disadvantage if your CRM is not set up properly. You don't have the right fields in there for them. You don't have the right automation set up,
Yeah.
all of that. That's your main working office. Like, how can you
Yeah.
just not have it set up? That's a huge way. Like, even if you're not going to invest in additional training, your OSC could be amazing, but their system is keeping them from doing the job that they could do. So I think the biggest takeaway for this section of the podcast and like when we were putting together the secret or the case study is that it's not really about fixing the people necessarily. It's about
Yeah.
equipping them with the tools and the systems that they need and the processes that they need.
Yes, exactly. Even though it's time consuming, setting up a CRM is time consuming. Setting up your templates and your sequences and your follow up, it's time consuming, but it's going to pay off, definitely. As soon as those leads start rolling in and you start putting them in process, it's easy breezy from there to be able to follow up with them.
Yeah, definitely. All right, before we end our episode, I want to just zoom out from the entire experience of what are your final takeaways from doing this and maybe what you would reach out and tell OSCs as well. So being an OSC yourself, like what do you think they need to hear?
I would probably say speak up. If you don't know, if you know that your CRM is not your tool, it's not working the way you need it to work, speak up, speak to your management and let them know, hey, I need some additional training on this, or I need time and give me 1 or 2 days to let me dig into our CRM and set up our follow-up processes or sequences. That's what I would definitely recommend, because I feel like sometimes we just go with the flow. If you're an OSC, you have a specific personality, so you just go with the flow, and we're people pleasers sometimes. So we don't want to step on anybody's toes, but there's a point where you do, and you have to just let them know, hey, I need the right tools. I feel like there's more to this that I can be taking on and showing results, and just speaking to your team and letting them know exactly what you need to do your job.
Absolutely. You got to
Mhm.
advocate for yourself in any position, but
Mhm.
especially in
Yeah.
those like support roles for sure.
Yes.
All right. If today's conversation resonated with you and maybe you're realizing that your OSC may be stretched thin or operating without some clear structure, this is exactly what we do here at Share Drive. So we'd love to chat with you. We also have that case study on our website. The link, like I said, is in the description box. So if you want to see what builders were part of the consistent follow-up club and stayed with their follow-up for 45 or 60 days, we have all of that info on our case study on our website. So click there, definitely. And if you need help with OSC training, CRM implementation, or you need to outsource your OSC, we are always here at Share Drive to help you with that. So reach out to me, reach out to Sarah Ocampo or my partner, Sherry Morton, and just let us know how we can help you. We put out these resources to help builders and to shine a light where their teams may need support. We'd love to be able to help you decipher that data and maybe see where that could impact your team. So thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Sarah, for joining me and walking me
Thank
through
you.
all of that. This was a really fun conversation. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, please follow us on the podcast and come back next week to hear more guests and more information about marketing and OSCs. We will see you then. Bye, everybody.